Hello and welcome back to Channel England Football. My name's Gary and I'm looking ahead to England's final two World Cup qualifying games against Albania and San Marino. England are in a great position in the group. Qualification almost certain, but not mathematically. I'm going to give my predictions on what I think the scoreline's going to be and where I ultimately think this may leave England going into next winter's World Cup. Without further delay, let's get into it. So England first host Albania tomorrow night, 7:45 at Wembley Stadium. Obviously the previous encounter was a 2-0 win for England, a good performance from England, but given our recent performances against Hungary and Poland, I think we're going to be looking for a reaction from the squad. I'm going to put the table up there now. As you can see, England are 3 points clear of Poland, 5 clear of Albania, who are in third. A much superior goal difference. With 2 games left to go and 1 against San Marino, you're pretty much saying that England are through, let's be honest. We're not going to lose both games. That is what would have to happen, really, for England not to qualify. But Albania are going to be a tough challenge. Like I said, particularly off our recent run of form, which might sound a little bit odd, but we've struggled in recent games to play at the standards that we've expected of ourselves. Southgate has just obviously announced his squad. Let's be honest, he's resisted picking probably some different and more informed players for England. He's stuck with his usual to see out this qualifying campaign. Let's hope that leaves him in good stead. Like I said, obviously the San Marino game, no disrespect, but it is pretty much in the bag. So this Albania game will hopefully 100% confirm qualification tomorrow night. Smith Rowe has obviously been included thanks to injuries. There's been quite a few injuries and pullouts leading up to this game. But England at home against Albania, I am expecting a win. I'm expecting England probably actually though to be a little bit ring rusty. I think there's a lot of pressure on Southgate, particularly if this squad doesn't perform over these next 2 games. The pressure's really going to mount for him to pick other players, really. Those ones that are in form. I'm thinking, obviously, Hudson-Odoi. Smith Rowe wasn't originally picked. Mason Greenwood. You know, the list can go on. There's quite a lot of players in there that one could argue should be in this squad. But like I've said, he's stuck with his usual personnel. It's a difficult one for me. You don't get many games with players, so it's important that he does keep some continuity. I'm not a big fan of probably disregarding 10 players and bringing in 10 fresh ones, which I've seen a lot of people calling for. And rightly, probably, a lot of those players do deserve a call-up. But you've got to look at continuity. You've got to look at what's worked well for England in the past. So it'd be very difficult for him to drop some of these players, particularly as they've done the rest of the campaign. I think England are going to win this one. I think it's going to be quite comfortable in the end. I think it's going to be a slow burner. We're going to struggle to probably break them down. It's going to be one of those nights, I think, where we might not see a goal for the first 30 or 40 minutes, or maybe even not until the second half. I'm going to go with a 3-0 England win. I'm pretty unsure, really, on what squad he's going to pick and how much he's going to be willing to experiment. I think he's just going to stick with the old guard in terms of his starting 11 to get the job done. Albania, they've had a fantastic campaign. 3rd in the group, 15 points. They do have a lot to fight for. You know, this isn't a dead rubber for them like the San Marino game will be. Albania, you know, they're going to be wanting to overtake Poland into that second spot. Poland, though, still have Andorra away and Hungary at home. So 2 tough games for them. So there is a lot of incentive here for Albania to really go for it. And if they do get a result against us, they're well in with a shout of nicking that second place, which does add that little bit of jeopardy for England. And we can't be complacent. We really can't. 3-4-0 win for Poland against Andorra, which isn't beyond the realms of possibilities, could actually leave us in second place. So I'm not expecting that. I'm really not. But I do expect Albania to be a much tougher challenge than probably what your average fan might give them. That coupled with England's recent performances mean it's not going to be a walkover. Like I said, it might be quite long into the game till we get the goal, but I'm going for 3-0. I think it will in the end. I think our dominance will tell. I think we'll see a lot of the ball. I think being at home, I think the size of the Wembley pitch, all those factors will come into play, and I think eventually we'll get the win. The game against San Marino, it depends what starting 11 is going to pick. Obviously, you'd like to see Smith Rowe come into that. You'd like to see a lot of fringe players who are in this squad and maybe not had as much game time, particularly at the Euros or in previous qualifying games, to get a call. I'm going to go for 4-5-0 England. It could be any one of those. People will probably say 4-5-0 should be a lot more, but qualification will hopefully be secure. San Marino don't have a lot to play for. We don't. It might be an experimental starting 11. So I'm not expecting 7, 8s, 9s, but 5 or 4, 5, 6, I'd be happy with. And that will round off, hopefully, what will have been a successful qualification campaign for England. Our unbeaten record is going to carry on in qualification matches. Given the most recent performances, like I said, particularly that one against Poland and Hungary, I've left a bitter taste in the mouth. It should have been more comfortable, shouldn't it, than where we're at now. I'm not saying it's uncomfortable, but we should be mathematically qualified now, but we're not, so it does leave that little bit of work. And maybe, if we had qualified in the previous rounds of fixtures, maybe it'd have picked a more experimental squad this time. So it maybe just show you the importance of qualifying as early and as soon as you can. We failed to do that this time. But I fully expect England to go through top of the group with a substantial better goal difference, particularly with the San Marino game still to come. England, it's going to be difficult where this leaves England, particularly if you look at my last video, there's a few issues there in terms of who plays in certain positions. What do we do with Harry Kane if he doesn't continue to perform? There's going to be a lot of questions for Southgate moving into this World Cup, which really, it is 12 months away, which isn't a long time in football. It really isn't. So there's going to be a lot of questions, and that's probably why a lot of us were a little bit confused about the squad. We was expecting him to probably have a look at a few more different players who are performing well, should we say. But England, once again, they have qualified. And I'm hoping this doesn't come back to my memory, but we have qualified relatively simply. Again, it is over and done with. Even if we get a draw really against Albania, it's all over and done with. England have done well. They have done well. There's been some good performances in this World Cup qualification campaign. Some not so good performances. They've seen the ugly side, the bad side of England, and the good side, obviously. And it'll be on to Qatar. And it will be interesting. Like I said, there's a lot of things for Southgate to question. The Nations League is also something that we need to look forward to, so he will have chance to maybe look at that and experiment within the Nations League. Southgate has got the squad of players to do it. I'd like to see him be a little bit more braver. I think the Albania game is going to be a lot more difficult than people give it credit for. Albania have got an awful lot to play for. If Albania do grab an early goal, there is actually going to be a little bit of nerves creeping in, but nothing I don't think the squad, Southgate and none of them can handle. Being at home as well, I think, just tips it again more in our favour. So, like I said, just to recap, I think 3-0 England against Albania and anywhere from 5 upwards against San Marino. So, thank you very much for watching this short video. I hope to see you next time. I'll be giving my thoughts and reactions to the games, both of them, probably next Tuesday or Wednesday night after both games have been on. Enjoy the matches. Look forward to seeing you next time.